Our sages record a conversation, or actually maybe a dispute, between Yishmael and Yitzchak. And who is more important? Who is greater? Who is more beloved by God? Who is more committed to God? Yishmael claims he, and Yitzchak says, sorry, I am. Although I'm younger than you, nevertheless, I'm better. Now this might sound like a siblings rivalry, but there's much more to it. So first, what is the discussion? Discussion was that Yishmael claimed, I'm more beloved than you, than God. Why? I agreed to be circumcised at the age of 13. I was an adult. I could very well have refused, yet I willingly did it. You were an 8-day-old baby. You had no choice about it. Yitzchak tells his older brother, half-brother, true, but let's see. What are you giving? What have you sacrificed? And what am I willing to sacrifice? He says, you've sacrificed a few drops of blood. True, painful, so on, but it's just a few drops of blood. I am now 37 years old, and if God desired that I be slaughtered, I would not refuse. And indeed, the Medrash tells us that right after this came the test of Akedas Yitzchak, where God was told by where Avraham Avinu was told by God, Kach noes binches Yechitro, I have to take your son and go offer him as an offering. Yitzchak was 37 years old. Interesting conversation. Then we see another difference also. Yishmael was born a natural birth. Hagar. His mother Hagar was not a barren woman, as she gave birth naturally, whereby Yitzchak was born in a miraculous way. Now what does this signify? What is the difference between the conversation and also their original birth? Yitzchak became the father of the Jewish nation, and Yishmael is the father of the Yishmaelim. So here were the Kabbalah terms. The mystics explained it as following. The difference between Yitzchak and Yishmael is Yishmael signifies a thoughtful and rational relationship with God. As an adult, he committed himself to do the circumcision, understanding the necessity, the value of having that bond with God. While Yitzchak expresses the dimension of relationship with God which is beyond reason, willingness to accept even that which cannot be understood. An act of be willing to give your life at the age of 37, which contradicts everything that seemingly God had told till now, that he will be the father of the Jewish nation. In other words, he is willing to commit himself beyond his rationale and beyond his understanding. Whereby Yishmael represents a rational relationship with God. Now this also will answer a question. We know that usually we do not give names about wicked people. We do not find anybody giving his name after Esav. We don't find any Jewish people, Jewish leaders named after Haman, and so on. But interesting, Yishmael is one which is mentioned often. In fact, every day in davening, we say, Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yishmael is the one who established the 13 principles of structures, how the Torah is learned. One of the Termaris was Rabbi Yishmael Kohen Gadol. How come that people would name their child after Yishmael? Now the answer is, there's two answers to that. One of them is that it says in the end of days, Yishmael repented, and he actually gave respect to his brother Yitzchak. When it came to the burial of Avraham Avinu, Yishmael ceded his place for Yitzchak. And Yitzchak is the one who was eventually buried in the Ma'aras HaMachpelah. He recognized the fact that he is the heir of Avraham Avinu. Yishmael is a son, a physical son, but an heir who deserves to represent the continuity of Avraham Avinu. He recognized is actually Yitzchak. But there's more than this. There's an additional point. The name Yishmael actually came from God. God was the one to tell Hagar, return to Sarah's and continue to be the maid in Sarah's home. And you will have a child. And you will call that child Yishmael. Why? Because Yishmael represents Shamakel. God has heard your pain. God has heard your affliction. So Yishmael is actually a godly name. And we certainly pray and hope that just like the original Yishmael repented and conceded that Yitzchak is the ultimate son, so too we should have already peace with all the Yishmaelim of today, for them to recognize that God is the ultimate leader of the world, and God is the one who is in charge, and He gave Eretz Yisrael to us, to the Jewish community, and will merit imminently the coming of Mashiach.